All right, this last week, President Obama informed the House Budget Committee Chairman Paul Ryan that the White House would be late in presenting its budget proposal to Congress. The reason? Well, this battle over the fiscal cliff at the end of the year put his team behind schedule on the budget. And it's been almost 4 years now, by the way, without a federal budget. Looks like we may be headed for a fifth. Now, there have been some political stunts to make it seem like budgets were going before Congress and failing in the past few years. Those budgets were put forward for an up or down vote without amendments. That's not really how budgets get passed. It never has been. It probably never will be. There's supposed to be disagreement and back and forth between the sides. We've just taken that all too far. We've become too uncompromising. Both sides have essentially given up on trying to do it the right way. Now, they could reach some kind of middle ground, agreeing on a budget, and if they did that, it would look like this. By law, the president is required to submit a budget proposal to Congress before the first Monday in February. We're not going to get there. Once this proposal gets to Congress, budget committees in the House and the Senate work with public officials and other congressional committees to decide on a budget resolution. That is supposed to be done by April 15th. And that's it. The budget resolution serves as a guide for all spending and revenue decisions for the year. At least that's how it's supposed to work, but none of this has happened since 2009, and that means we're borrowing more and more to cover our deficit. Now, in the last 10 years alone, we've raised the debt ceiling every year with the exception of one. Americans' concerns about the federal budget deficit and government dysfunction rose high enough in January to actually knock unemployment out of the top spot on Gallup's list of most important problems for the first time since 2009. I want to bring in a man who has played a leading role in actually passing budgets through all parts of the budget process. He was the chairman of the House Budget Committee. Jim Nussle guided 6 federal budgets through Congress. He served as the director of the Office of Management and Budget under President George W. Bush. He's a Republican. We've had disagreements between parties for all of history. Why has it been we've been able to get budgets in the past, and now our ideological differences stop us from even getting a deal? Isn't that what the process is supposed to be there for?
Well, and that's what it is. The process isn't being used. It'd be like if, right now people who are supposed to be sitting around a table in a committee room having hearings, discussing the budgets, all having skin in the game, and by the end of the decision, after amendments, after disagreements, after debate, they vote, and then the process moves forward. Right now, as you know, there's a couple of people that go into a back room, and after a few months, the smoke clears, they come out with a deal, they give you 5 seconds to look at it, and then they cram it down your throat and say, vote. That process is not working.
Flawed.
Oh, it's terrible.
Let's just clear up something. There are a lot of people who say, we haven't got a budget, and this one tried to put a budget forward. They got no votes. The truth is, while we haven't got a new budget, the way the system has worked is that we're just working on an old budget. So the disadvantage here is we haven't updated it. We haven't said this agency should get less money and this agency should get more. We're basically just continuing on with old budgets. It's not like it's all willy-nilly and anybody can spend anything they want right now. What is the real consequence of not having a budget that is current?
Number one, it doesn't help control the congressional process because it's kind of the fences that outline the entire process for the year is the budget, number one. Number two, it provides unbelievable amount of uncertainty to the rest of the government and how they determine spending. And there's a lot of waste as a result of people just, hurrying up and use it or lose it kinds of mentality. So that's the second. And then the third is what it does in the marketplace. I mean, people, whether it's the tax code or whether it's fiscal spending, can't make decisions. And that has a challenge, of course, to the marketplace that helps that is driven at least in part by fiscal spending. If new members of Congress, for now 2 different Congresses, have not exercised that muscle memory of understanding how the process works, they're not going to be able to be very effective when they actually need to exercise that process.
Yeah, it's an important process.
It really is.